Hi everybody, welcome back to the Our Smiling Faces podcast. We've got a very special episode for you this week. We're not just talking about football, we're joined by Josh and Ollie, representing Newcastle United Foundation, and he had to talk about the Be a Game Changer campaign. So we'll start off how we always do if we've got guests on. A little bit of background about yourselves, what you're doing in regards to the campaign, and then we'll take it from there. So who wants to go first?
Shall I get started? No problem. So my name's Oliver Bell. I am the Health and Wellbeing Manager at Newcastle United Foundation. So for those people who don't know who we are the charity that runs alongside of the football club. So we work with about 60,000 people a year, which still surprises me that people are still shocked that they don't know, or they don't know who we are. So I'd like to get that out first of all. My role within the foundation is working within the Health and Wellbeing Department. So our Health and Wellbeing Department, we were kind of given a pot of money from the Premier League. Obviously the Premier League's this big giant and makes a lot of money each year, and that filters down through the systems and comes down to the grassroots levels, and that's where we pick it up. And back in January 2018 we were awarded with a pot of cash, and we're kind of given the objective of go out and try and improve men's mental health in the region. So it's like, right, okay, how do we do that? So that pot of money was split up into different sort of projects, one of which being the Be a Game Changer campaign. So Be a Game Changer is all about using the black and white stripes to try and change the conversation around mental health. So we have the online presence, we've got an online social media campaign, so hopefully people have seen that before. In the past, or when we launched with a video which helped encapsulate what we were trying to do, which is taking normal fans, everyday people, blokes, and getting them to sort of tell their story of potentially some of their mental health journeys, to try and inspire, I suppose, other people who otherwise wouldn't talk or address their mental health issues, to do so because of the love and the pride and the passion of football in the North East. And we feel like that's really important because these people who tend to not talk about these situations and these problems are those who are unfortunately most at risk of things like suicide. So if we think about 52,000 people outside in the stadium behind us, and we think about 1 in 4 of those people may be at risk of developing a mental health issue at some point during the next year, so that's the whole East End, it's like 12,000 people or so. And if we were to think a percentage of them are still at risk of dying by suicide, the majority of those people who are still at risk are men aged between 18 and about 45. So that's our target audience, that's the people we're trying to engage, and we're trying to talk to those people and say, talk about your mental health, let's stop stigmatizing, let's stop thinking that this is a thing we should shy away from. And Josh was one of our participants who came forward and told us about his story and wanted to share his story of his mental health journey. I'll let Josh introduce himself in a second, but Josh has been part of the team who've been instrumental in getting this message across to the local community, because Josh is just like me and you and sits next to us in the stadium and goes through the issues that we all go through as well. I don't know if I've taken anything away from you.
No, it's alright. I
That was his whole script.
I didn't want to talk.
Give me the script.
But I came in as a participant under Ollie. We joined the 12-man programme and just carried it on from there. I think Ashley calls me a Be a Game Changer champion. So I like to spread the word, I attend events, I do the peer groups, social media, I've shared my story, and I've just got massively involved. This is a very passionate campaign. It's a big passion of mine, the campaign.
So do you feel as if obviously you are having history and experiencing your own problems with mental health, obviously like Ollie said, they're bringing you in to bring more people in, obviously like say peer groups and stuff like that you do, where you feel as if you're the go-to person where some people might contact you, see obviously things like you're doing on social media and reach out and stuff like you. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you don't mind, do you want to speak about the problems which you've had?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, my story started years ago. I wouldn't say a troubled childhood, but I had issues in my childhood that affected me long term. They all came to a head when I moved up here about 3 years ago, and I struggled. It wasn't the adaptation of moving here, because I've always loved Newcastle. It's always felt like home. It's always been my city, and for some reason I started telling little porcupines, little lies, and they escalated and became massive lies. But then I was living it. I was sort of like living in my own film, and for me it felt normal. For me it felt like the truth. But it wasn't, and it wasn't until you sit back and you think, do you know what, that was my mental health issues playing with my mind, convincing me this was the truth, whereas everything around me was falling apart. Just moved into a new house, got 2 kids, got missus, but I was thinking of me and myself, pretending I've got this fantastic job, which I didn't have, which is mad thinking about it now, because now I have settled, I've got the job, I've got the kids, I've got the house, and everything's brilliant. But all that led to me seriously considering taking my own life. And at the time you're like, well, this is the only way I can get out of it, the only way I can see it is ending. And I found myself sitting on the edge of train bridges more than once, sitting there thinking, gonna go. Next time a train goes, I'm gonna go. Train goes by, I still sit there. Because obviously it's a mad attempt, it's a very, very brave decision to do it. You've got to have some bottle to actually do it. It's at the edge of a river, I can't swim. Thought if I just go in, that's it, job's done. But amazingly, the trigger for me that sort of made me see sense was I was sitting on the edge of this bridge and my little boy rang me. And he went, Dad, where are you? Oh yeah, I'll be home in a bit. No, where are you? Come on, I've got home from school, I want to see you, Put the phone down, floods of tears, cried and and then disappeared for a few hours. No one could get me, no trace of me. Phone was off, and I was laying in a field, absolutely just oblivious to the world. And then I just thought, I can't do this anymore. I need to sort myself out. So it was that trigger that I went home and sat down with my missus, and I just went, this is what's been going on. And getting it out, all of a sudden I went from this like really tight, really aggressive, to just, it felt like the world had come off my shoulders. And from that point, obviously it took a lot of rebuilding. I mean, there's still, from that side, there's obviously still trust issues, because I've done it before. It's very possible you can slip and retract and go back, but for me, the Be a Game Changer campaign has saved me, because I use my experiences to help people, which gives you such a massive sense of well-being, and it just feels like you're doing something good. And it's not ridiculous to say, it probably did save my life. So falling into the 12-man program, meeting Ollie and Sam and Ashley, and listening to other people's stories, it makes you seriously think, like, I can use my experiences to help people, and that's what it inspires me. Hopefully it inspires others, because it's a magnificent campaign.
Yeah.
It's the thought of now I can talk about it openly. I'm not ashamed of it. It's happened. You have to live a life to have your experiences, and for me it's happened, and now I can use that and go to people, look, this is my input on your situation. I can be your ear to listen to, because that's what I needed, was someone to listen to me. And as a bloke, it's impossible. I mean, you know, as a bloke, you don't go to your mates for help necessarily. Yeah. You might go to them for advice about a bird or a night out, but not necessarily, I'm struggling, I need help. And opening up to people in the campaign has just been, I mean, one of my best friends now is a man called Les, who's a massive part of the campaign as well. And I met him through Be a Game Changer, and we've got this magnificent friendship now, and it's just all stemmed from that. So now I'm in a really healthy, happy, successful place.
So it feels obviously you've gone over that curve now.
Yeah.
So yeah, on the top of the hill.
Yeah.
So like you said there, anything can make it go back over, like it gave a Jenga really.
Yeah.
One block on anything can go back. Obviously with the PR groups, which is due on a Wednesday, I believe, and it's at St James Park, where we are now. Do you want to discuss a little bit more on that? So who it's open to?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the support groups, which we are currently finalising the name of, and we put it out to the people and ask.
A terrible choice.
It's a brilliant choice.
It's also some controversy as well.
The sore subject in this room at the minute.
We basically
settled on the locker room. No,
we haven't settled on that one. So this is basically what we did. So we raised the campaign and we said, let's talk about mental health. Let's try and change the culture of which we've always thought about mental health. And I think what we found is that we started to do that, and we had a lot of men going, right, this is my story, these are the issues that I've experienced. We had a lot of men going, listen, I possibly wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this campaign, because no other mental health campaign resonated with me, but because I'm a Geordie through and through, and not only I have been, but my dad and my granddad and my great-granddad have been Geordies through and through, this campaign resonated with me. Excellent, so we're starting to get people to talk more. But I think Josh maybe alluded to it slightly there, in that us men sometimes struggle to talk about things, and we sometimes struggle to have people to talk to about things. And I'm a big believer that blokes do talk, we do talk, we're just not asked. and we're not given the right situation or the right settings to talk in. So how can we do that? And that's kind of where these peer support groups stem from is, well, is there any chance that we can use the stadium to host this environment, and because the stadium really is a safe environment? I'd imagine you lads who've grown up around Newcastle, would I be right in thinking some of your earliest memories are right here?
In these four walls.
Even now, I mean, I've had a season ticket for 10 years. I've been coming since, I can't remember my first game. I've been coming that long. I still get a buzz. Just walking out, when it's empty, when they've got the lights on the pitch, it's still...
It's not just that,
it's
driving over one of the bridges as well. The first thing you look at, no matter where you are coming across from gate 10,
it's like
is you look for the ground. You look for the ground. I'm the same. Driving if we're coming up shopping with the kids or the bins in the back of the car, I'm always the first one to point out where the stadium is.
I do, but
now they'll point it out to me, so we'll come across the bridge and they'll point it out to me.
I had allergy testing the RVI years ago. I'm allergic to all sorts of nonsense, but I still park in Lees's Park, the car park where we are, and walk down under the Millburn, around the ground, just so I can go past the ground. I probably walk an extra 2 or 3 miles, which isn't any world for me, like, but something I should be doing anyway. But just to get that kind of, it was a summertime, it was lovely. It's just nice to have that kind of, like I say, it's a focal point, and it's somewhere that it's never a chore to come. No. Well, except when there's a game on.
Well, and I think you've both perfectly demonstrated there, everybody else in the city, every man in the city who has the same emotions and connection to this location, these coordinates on Earth, is that we feel that safety and that security within these buildings. So what can we do with that power? Well, we can start to open up the doors and say, well, if you are struggling and if you've got nowhere else to turn, then come and have a chat with people like Josh, because Josh has been through things very similar to yourself. And the peer support groups are very, very early. We've only been running them 5-6 weeks now,
2 months,
and we're still learning. So we don't know what it'll look like. We don't know the ideal model. For me, at some point, we will know that, and we'll be able to take that and put that into Forest Hall, or into Wallsend, or into North Shields, or into Berwick, and we can take these peer support groups and drop them into boys clubs, and when you go and drop your bands off at football on Tuesday night, you can have a coffee with the lads for 2 hours as well, and we can talk about some of the issues that we have to people who are impartial to our lives, because sometimes I feel like that's quite unique, is having a conversation with somebody who doesn't really have much to do with your life. I don't know if I might just be talking.
I think talking with a stranger sometimes helps, because you haven't necessarily got that judgment on you. So with a family member, they probably already know and have already cast their own judgment. But when it's someone you don't know, it's different. You can. I've always found myself, I can open up more to someone I don't necessarily know, because you haven't got that prejudgment. Like, obviously your family have seen you grow up, they know what you like, they've got this picture of you. Whereas in reality, that's not necessarily true.
You don't feel as if you want to tarnish that image that they have of you.
So they've got this little angelic boy growing up, you're still 6, 7 in their eyes. But then you can talk to Billy the stranger, and you can give him your story, and he's probably got input on his story. And because it's amazing how many men have got very similar stories, they're very similar backgrounds, and it's just, if you think about it, it's mad how you can just go, this is what's happened to me, and they go, oh my god, you know what, I thought I was the only one.
What's funny for me is blokes who go, I've thought about ending my own life, and then in these groups 3 or 4 people go, me too. So have I. And it's like this sudden,
it just goes pop.
We're bonding over the fact that we've both thought about ending our own life. And I know statistically, I think it's something like 20% of the population thought about ending their own life. Now if I was to line up 100 people in a room and go, hands up who's thought about ending their own life, and 20% go, yeah, me, probably not going to be a fair reflection. There's probably a lot more. So thoughts like that are common, but they're not healthy, so we need to address those thoughts, but they do occur. And I think, as Josh says, when you're in a room full of people who share common experiences and common life journeys, then that can be really rewarding for you and encourage you to address a few of your issues maybe.
So you mentioned the stadium being a massive focal point, but I don't think it's just a stadium, it's probably the club and the club's crest, obviously, which go alongside the foundation there. We've all got an attachment to the football club, love it or hate it. Everyone's got a huge attachment to it.
Hands up who's got a Newcastle tattoo?
Not me.
There we go. Newcastle tattoos, that's something for me. 1 in 4, yeah. For me,
you're not seeing them even because they're dreadful. I was 16 and it was a mistake.
But that demonstrates that love of the club, is that people genuinely get that image imprinted on their body for the rest of their life. So that's true. That's a lot of love.
If it's not in body, it's in mind. Everyone's got that one memory when they'll go, that's Newcastle for me.
And it's a case where you'll go to your workplace, you talk to your friends, family and stuff like that, and I couldn't tell you the last day I went, without mentioning something which is happening in regards to football and Newcastle United. It's a daily thing, so obviously having the foundation behind the Game Changer campaign there, it's an absolute no-brainer. So once again, just like I say, it's a comfort thing. Feel if you've got some sort of tie and association to something which the club are doing to help you.
I think so. There's I know, speaking to my dad, my mother passed away 2 years ago, and me and my dad, when we get together, it's hard to speak to, as you say, to your family about how I'm feeling about this, what I'm going through, and football's almost a fail-safe. It's whenever me and my dad get together, the first thing we'll do, Newcastle South Shields Football Club, and it's kind of from there we'll go into, and it feels like using the club as a kind of a conduit, or using the football, the name, the colours, the badge as a conduit to get people talking can only be a healthy thing.
So what I've done recently is my auntie actually passed away recently. She passed away on New Year's Day, and my uncle's a lifelong Newcastle fan. He's like, and it's always been our little link, because obviously he's from up here, I'm from down there. I've always supported the club, and we've always had that bit of banter. So I've just been ringing him, where everyone's been ringing him and going, how are you, how's this, how's that? We're going, did you watch the match? Terrible, wasn't it? Like, and it's just helped him, I think, relax a bit more, because he'd go, oh, I love it when you ring me, because you don't talk about obviously I'll ask him how you are. How's it going? How's the kids? How's this? How's that? But then I'll go, did you watch the match?
I'm just taking his mind elsewhere.
Wasn't it bad? Like, he's coming to the FA Cup game on Saturday just to get him out of the house, and I think if it wasn't Newcastle United, he wouldn't be interested.
And I think that, to me, probably demonstrates the different techniques that we can use if we're feeling low, and if we're really, really distracted by some really intense or traumatic experiences within our life. Yes, we say go out and speak to people, or speak to loved ones and speak to friends and family. Sometimes that might be quite difficult, so come to things like peer support groups, or use online communities like the Be a Game Changer Facebook group to access and help you with your mind. But at the same time, there's that bit of, we talk about mindfulness quite a lot, and I think a lot of people think of mindfulness as being, well, I need to get a yoga mat and light some incense sticks and go for a half hour, and that's not what it is. Coming to football and watching Newcastle for 90 minutes is technically mindfulness, because it's taking your mind off all of these other things that are going on in your life. So that can be such an important medicinal tool to helping you with your emotions and with your thoughts and feelings.
It's something I noticed on the website, that the Be a Game Changer kind of part of the foundation website, where you've got the 12th man on there, man versus fat football, the walking football. I look at the timetable for that, and it's just constant. And it's stuff like that you say gets primarily men together, I suppose, and becomes that kind of that starting point, maybe, you know.
Well, we get guys down on a Monday and now a Tuesday night. Monday nights at South Benwell, St John's Primary School. We've got the Man v Fat there. Tuesday night is Forest Hall YPC, the youth football club there, and that's the Man v Fat League, which is a national league. So Google that and have a look. But that is blokes on a pitch for a half hour screaming and shouting at each other, which is funny because they're so passionate about the football, but to qualify for that league, you've got to have a BMI of greater than 27.5. So these tend to be quite big lads. So I hope they don't get insulted by this, but their abilities aren't amazing. But they're still getting so passionate and enraged about some of the decisions, and that's detracting them from the other things that are going on in their life. So that's healthy.
Like a form of catharsis, almost.
It's a mental break, isn't it? It's definitely that mental break. But I used to use football as my getaway, so I'd go and play, because for that hour and a half. Well, I can't run around for an hour and a half. Hour. It's just I'm just thinking about playing football, shouting at my mates, clattering someone, and you just switch off. Even for a little while after that, you've got that half hour in the bar with your pals, where you're just having a quick beer
and it doesn't have to be full blown football. If you're somebody who's not that physically fit, we've got walking football sessions. So again, go on our website, but go down to the snooker hall, go swimming, go for a walk along the countryside. I think I've just been up in Northumberland at a meeting there, and driving through Northumberland, we live in such an amazing part of the world. We're currently 10 miles away from a beach, we're 10 miles away from the middle of nowhere in green spaces, and that has so much green spaces, and being out in nature has so much evidence behind it to suggest that really does boost mental health.
It's like you mentioned there in Northumberland, I used to work as a courier delivery driver, and one of my areas was Hexham, Stocksfield, and that part of the northeast is an unbelievable port.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Great port. You can easily get lost in the place, mind. Easily get lost, but that's one of the great things about it.
One of the joys, isn't it?
It is absolutely fantastic. Around every corner has a little river and stuff like that. So it's a great part of the world, part of the northeast. Not just the world. Mention the campaign there. Obviously, we've noticed at the weekend, the game which was here, that seems to be a lot more advertisement, things like that for the big game changer. You've got the boards going around, electronic boards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel as if that's been a massive help bringing people in? Obviously visiting website for bringing traffic in and things like that.
Yeah, of course, definitely. I mean, you've got thousands of people. I mean, I was at the game the other day and we scored. I was at the Rochdale game and we scored, and I've looked up to the board for the replay and be a game changers on the board. So I'm like, fantastic, that's thousands of people doing the same thing. So definitely that's a way of, as is this opportunity which we're doing now. We're speaking to people who I otherwise wouldn't be able to engage. So it's been such a useful tool, and I think the reason why the club have got on board with it so much is because it comes underneath their United as one banner, which hopefully you've heard of, which is all about equality, diversity and inclusion. So mental health comes under that, but so does LGBT+, and so does discrimination, racism, sexism, all the other things that come under that banner as well. So the club are hugely behind it, because we have to be. We've got to be as a society to progress.
Of course, so the United is the one with the pin badge with the scarf,
the
like
black and white
ribbon, black and white ribbon. Yeah, I think even everyone's packed for the season tickets. Three pin badges, didn't they?
My memory of it's the programme has Shola on the cover with it, and I thought, I'll do it. If it's Shola, I'm okay with it.
So that's what you need to do, bring Shola on.
Get Shola on it, it's not a problem.
Bring Shola in. So, obviously EPI groups, which you do on a Wednesday, do you see certain key things which have driven people to come and have a conversation with you? Is it things like growing up that have affected the future, the mental health? Is it current things like jobs, work, money issues, or is it just a broad thing?
It's definitely a mixture, isn't it? I think the longer we've been going, we've been quite lucky where we've had like a core group of men that have been there every week, and it's just opened up more and more each week. I think even I opened up about certain other things this week that I hadn't necessarily opened up about before, due to another member of the peer group opening up. And it's just, if we compare it from week 1 to now, it's just a different ball game, isn't it? I mean, week 1 was a little bit tetchy, a little bit awkward, a bit like arms folded and legs crossed, but now it's just sort of like you rock up, you sit down, you're with people you know because you've been coming regularly, and you can just have that crack on with them. And it does get deep. It does get deep. It gets really deep. But at the same time, you still have that little bit of banter. I mean, we have such a laugh towards the end because we always reflect. So there'll always be the conversation, the deep and meaningful stuff at the start, and then there's the reflection of something good at the end. Which, alright, you might have to rack your brain every now and again, but I think the more times you come, the more open you become.
I think it's definitely broad. So I think if you to try and dig down what your question is, what is causing these issues in people's lives, we don't have an answer. I don't think we could pin it down. I think that's the important bit. It's because there's no key ingredient. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a health professional, so I definitely couldn't diagnose you and try and go into the intricacies of your childhood and that sort of stuff. I think we've had guys who've turned up who've battled with their sexuality throughout all of their life, and that's clearly had a huge implication upon their life. And then we've had guys who've gone through a breakup within the last 6 weeks, and that's put them into a whole new turmoil. So it's different for different people. I think there's certain things, Josh will know I've got kind of like go-to little phrases and stuff. And have you seen the Iron Cowboy, he's called, on Netflix?
No.
It's called the Iron Cowboy. It's this guy in America, and he did 51 triathlons in 51 days. Or Ironman, sorry, in 51 days, around all the states and stuff. And at the same time, his mum was doing a 5k at the end of each of his race.
Right, okay.
And that was her bit, and she really struggled with the 5k.
Yeah.
But he struggled with the Ironman, and he was saying, we both find it hard, but our hards are different.
Yeah.
It's still hard, but it's just different, and it's the same with mental health. What you've experienced might really, really affect me, but might be perfectly fine for you. So it's completely different for different people. It's our resilience, it's our coping mechanisms, it's what builds us up. Some things that are really great on you might not great on me, so there's no definitive answer. If we had the definitive answer, we'd be able to fix all of these issues.
Exactly. So I want to touch on something here. Obviously, we mentioned social media, Facebook, Twitter, massive audience that you get from the obviously podcasts like this. As good as what social media can be, going back, I opened up a couple of months ago about issues which I've had. Something which I've probably had, I would say, for a good 2-3 years, and I've hit it quite well. Family didn't really know anything. Then it came from an argument. So I was having an argument with my wife. Then from there, something just flipped in my mind, and I, like yourself, completely broke down. And I admitted there and then, I just don't feel right. I feel as if I'm a disappointment, those sort of things which you associate. And so the first thing I do, I reached out and I went on an online chat, and I think it was to Mind that I had an online chat with. And they point you in directions where you go see your GP, go see the peer groups and stuff like that. And one of the things which the thought that Mind came from was my son was poorly when he was first born. So he's in hospital for, it was a fair few weeks he was in hospital for, in RVI in Newcastle, we ended up in Leeds, their hospital for a few weeks there. And during that time, obviously all the family were upset, newborn son, my wife's absolutely in bed, so it didn't look like he was going to make it through. And throughout, I was the one who was being told that I need to be the man of the situation, I need to be strong for everyone else, and I was. There was only once that I shed a tear over the whole thing. And I think I contained it for so long and for so many years that I just let it build up and build up. Then the whole thing with social media, obviously doing stuff like this, obviously you'll know, for all the nice comments you'll get, there's always one or two where someone having digs and stuff like that, and we've all been guilty, we've all said stuff in the past that so something horrible to people. And I think the older you get, you realise how much that can affect someone. So, like I said, all the good comments that we're getting, those were great, but it was the one bad one which really it
resonates, doesn't it?
Yeah, dug deep. You completely forget about the nice stuff people said, and you remember the bad stuff, people insulting your appearance, what you're doing if they don't like what you're doing. And so I seeked help, and it's been a massive improvement since. Just speaking to someone, like I said, speaking to strangers is a great thing. I always struggle to speak to family. I've said it from day one, I do struggle. I feel that speaking to strangers, you don't feel the emotion building up inside yourself. As soon as you have a conversation with a family member, you can feel your eyes filling up, you know it's going to end up in tears. So I think so much, you feel it, and the more you talk about it, that's when the lump in the throat starts coming. And so when I told my wife I was scared to tell anyone else, then obviously I worked my way around the family. I think Adam was one of the first ones to text as well. And the day after I explained to my wife, Dega, who does a podcast with her, he texted us saying, I just feel as if I need to text you, is everything alright? Never ever spoke to Dega about anything ever before. So it just shows you that your mates and your family will realise that you're not yourself and that something's up. So like you said, opening up to family is crucial, isn't it? Absolutely crucial.
Enormous, yeah. I think you find, I always found you tend to sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
So you got this horrible bitter pill, and you need to feed it to your family, but you can't. So you sugarcoat it and tell them the truth, but in a roundabout way. And then it's not until you sort of fully crack it and just give them that pill, and then all of a sudden you feel better. They probably feel better because they know the truth now. Yeah. And they can sort of, because they know something's wrong. Your best friends will know, your family will know, your missus will know, they'll know. So it's sometimes, I've definitely found now, never used to, I was a nightmare, I'd lie through my back teeth. But now, if I tell the truth, I feel better straight away. Yeah. If something's gone wrong, just tell them. Just sort of go, this has happened, and we can work through it, and we can build. And whereas 2 years ago, I wouldn't have. Like same as you, I would have just held it in.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Like,
exactly what it was.
The whole man up mantra, isn't it?
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. But on the back of that, obviously, I mentioned it to my wife, and her first reaction was to blame herself. Yeah. So it must be something I'm doing. It's the hardest thing to try and explain how I'm feeling. All I know that it's not anything that you're doing. It's not anything friends are doing, family are doing. It's me, and it's the hardest thing to try and to explain to someone. And I can completely understand from her point of view that she must, like, obviously the way I'm feeling, she's thinking, because she spends all day with us every single day, she'll be thinking it's obviously something that I'm not doing right. And that's one of the hardest things about it. But like yourselves, you've probably experienced this when you're speaking to people on the peer groups.
I have, certainly. I think that's a common theme, and it's probably natural, because as you say, your wife is so close to you, she probably thinks that it's her fault, the reason why you feel that way. I think possibly explaining that it's clear it's not. It's nothing to do with the majority of the time it's chemical imbalances within the brain, or there's certain things that have gone on within the brain which has offset your emotions and made you feel this way. So I think sometimes putting a bit of a biological spin on it can help them to understand. But I think it's all about being open and being honest, and if she does feel that way, then she's a right to feel that way. And we just need to talk about these things. We need to have truthful, thorough conversations and really pin down why she feels that your mental health issues are her fault, and potentially why your mental health issues are issues in the first place. So
exactly. So we'll go and wrap this one up now. Do you want to give any links to likes of anywhere people can find the Game Changer campaign? Obviously, Besty's mentioned the website. It's got loads of stories on the website, individual blokes talking about their experience, their stories. Is there anywhere else where they can find you?
Yep, so our Facebook page. So if we go on Facebook and you go in the search bar and it's just Be a Game Changer, and I think you're both part of the group, aren't you? So that's got 1,600 members in, and it can be a great community to try and seek help and advice from, as we've sort of touched on a little bit, strangers, so people who are impartial to our lives, so that can be really quite useful.
It's got a mentorship program as well on there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's a mentorship link on there where you can become a mentor if you feel like you can offer some advice, some help, a shoulder, or you can seek a mentor as well. So if you're struggling, there's people on there that have already signed up. I'm on personally, so you can message me on Facebook and we can have a little bit of a chat on, and I can send you to the peer group. I can, like I say, we do the peer group Wednesdays 6 o'clock, St James's Park. Or you can there's plenty of people to talk to on there, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think it's taking that first step and seeking any kind of help. It doesn't necessarily have to be us. We're really not saying, right, everybody come to Newcastle United Foundation. That's not what we're trying to do. We've got services on our doorstep that are dedicated to helping people who are struggling, and mental health issues might not just be depression or anxiety, but there might be finance issues alongside that, there might be addictions alongside that. So there are all these partners within the city who can help people with certain issues. So GPs are obviously the first port of call. Go see your GP and see what they can do for you. If you're really struggling, get in touch with one of us on Facebook or through my email account, and we'll try and put people in touch with professionals. But yeah, I think taking that first step is obviously so important. I think you've touched on it perfectly a few times around how, you both have, around how you felt after taking that first step. And it's such a brave step to take, but once you do, there's clearly a benefit to doing it.
And like you said at the very start of this one, going right way back to the start, is that you'd be surprised at how many people are actually experiencing the same thing as what you are. And obviously everyone's going to be hiding it in the same way as what you've tried to hide it on that. Best thing that you can do about it is open up to someone, whoever that may be. So the peer group, obviously if people are wanting to attend the peer group on a Wednesday night, where do they come and see in James Park? Do they just come down to
just the Melbourne
reception, glass reception, and ask there. I'd strongly recommend people to join the Facebook group, because these groups might expand. So it might be that people do live in the middle of Northumberland and they struggle to get to Newcastle city centre on a Wednesday evening. So keep up to date with the Facebook group, because we'll constantly be updating that with any further opportunities that we have.
So the overall aim from the likes of the peer group is to basically have like a pop-up shop sort of thing that'll go travelling.
Spread it far and wide, isn't it? This is like obviously the first one, this is the pilot, and then to sort of just spread it to other areas, so not even necessarily football clubs, it could be the church hall, just having like-minded people there that need that reassurance, that help, that chat, because it all starts with are you okay, really, talking and just spreading the love if you want. Like,
I think what a lot of people will be shocked at this is, I think even I'm probably guilty of this in the past, like, I just always thought the Newcastle Foundation was coaching and things like that. A lot of people fall on that, but completely forget about what you're doing apart from that. Obviously growing up, they used to come into my school and stuff, like the same with the Sunderland Foundation. They used to go into like primary school, junior schools, but it's so much more than that, isn't it?
Massively. We've got nearly 50 programmes. It's not uncommon. Yesterday somebody thought that the foundation just did food banks. It's like, we don't do food banks. We've got like 50 programmes, none of them are food banks, but it's just more about knowledge, and platforms like this give us that knowledge. So there might be various different things. If people are of a certain age, so I think it's between ages 16 and 25, we've got employability programs to try and get people closer to the job market and things like that as well. So please get in touch with myself or one of my colleagues. I'm sure we'll be able to help individuals. That's the whole point. Use the power of football to try and help people.
Exactly. Right. Thanks for both for coming.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yes, thank you. And hopefully even something as little as, even if it brings one person in to help this.
it's about. Just if you can just help one person or encourage one person, then you've changed someone's life.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, and it's about being that support mechanism and helping. Yeah. And using that to do it, because up there that's massive. So.
Yeah. Everything.
Yeah, it is.
It's everything.
I'm getting a tattoo.
What are we going to tattoo now?
Yeah, right. Off to the tattoo shop.
Right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the future. See you later.